नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Om. Dear friends, we just saw the stories of Garuda and also the story of churning of ocean. And I was also trying to give the introduction to the next story, that is the story of Yayati. Why are we reading all these stories? Because all these characters are connected to the Pandavas and Kauravas. Yayati is one of the ancestors of Pandavas. In fact, it is actually the epic style, not only tell about Pandavas and Kauravas and the battle, but also to tell about earlier stories where some similar sentiments like anger, hatred, jealousy, etc. have been displayed. We have seen earlier stories about Garuda, how the jealousy between Kadru and Vinata, that jealousy led to that Vinata becoming a servant in the house of Kadru. So like that, jealousy, anger, all these things, hatred, all these things, that is part of human nature. And then that continues forever and forever. With the technology may change, what was there, what was a human being about 10,000 years ago, the same human being with the same human emotions. Maybe technology only is different. So that is why the epic presents so many situations, so many characters, so many incidents, so that we can analyze why these people are behaving like this and how to correct our own human behavior, how to see what are the lessons we can draw. So now we were seeing this, I was about to start the story of Yayati. Yayati, I was just telling that before telling about Yayati, we have to tell about another connected story, because Yayati married a lady called Devayani. And that Devayani was the daughter of Shukracharya. And under what circumstances that man, Yayati, married that Devayani? So the story of Mahabharata, we know that it is going on in the form of questions and answers. So that King Janamejaya is putting some questions. Oh, why did my grandfather, great-grandfather do that? Or why did that Yayati do that? How is it that he married one Devayani? So then this Vaishampayana, who is the narrator, he again goes back in time and then tells. So in the process, he tells some small incident. Again, Vaishampayana asks, why did it happen? So Vaishampayana tells another story. So it goes on like that. So this Yayati marries a woman called Devayani. And who is this woman Devayani? She is the daughter of one Shukracharya, who is the guru for the Asuras. And Asuras and Devas. I was telling you the Asuras and Devas. Asura means the demons and the Devas means gods. We are not referring to one single god, that is that universal thing called God I am not referring to. There are so many other divine entities which we generally call gods, like then people say angels in Christianity. So like that, there are some gods. So these gods, and the gods of course naturally they do represent good, and these asuras they represent bad. So here of course we are not going into that thing. There is an asura king called Vrushaparva. And that Asura king, his Purohita or his guru is Shukracharya. And the Shukracharya, so now this Shukracharya knows a particular vidya, he has got some particular knowledge by which he was reviving the dead people. Whenever there was a clash between the gods and demons, and whenever the demons died, the Shukracharya, by using that vidya, by using that art of reviving the dead, of course, in English they call it necromancy or something. That art of reviving the dead, it is not exactly necromancy, but it is art of reviving the dead. Let us only be confined to that. So this gentleman, this Shukracharya, was reviving those people. And there is a guru for Devas also, and that guru's name is Bruhaspati. And that Bruhaspati did not know. Bruhaspati did not know that particular art. So what did he do? He sent his young son. There was a young lad, very handsome, very well behaved, very well learned young man, very handsome young man. So he called his son and said, my dear boy, you go and be the student of that Shukracharya. Though the gods and demons were enemies, there is no personal enmity between Shukracharya and Bruhaspati, that is the priest of the guru of demons and the guru of gods. So they were both rishis, they were both sages, and their interest was to protect, the Shukracharya's interest is to protect the Rakshasas, Bruhaspati's interest is to protect the Devas. So this Brihaspati did not know that art of reviving the dead. So he called his young son and said, okay, you go and be the student of the Shukracharya. And he also gave a small trick. Of course, it is a very unfair thing, that Shukracharya had a weakness. He was very, very fond of his daughter, in the sense that he was a very fond parent, not in any other sense, but a very, very fond parent, a very indulgent parent. He was just pampering his daughter. That's all. There is a pampered child of Shukracharya. So this Brihaspati tells his son's name is Kacha. So he tells his son, you go and then you serve that master. Not only serve that master, you also behave well with that lady. But within the limits of dharma, don't transgress dharma, don't make love or do any such thing. And also don't make any advances. But in a very, very dharma, in a very, very pious and righteous manner. You have to behave in such a righteous manner that she should be attracted to you. She should love you. And of course, he doesn't say she should love you. He only tells, Sheela Dakshinya Madhuriyaihi Acharyena Damenacha. Sheela means character. You should not misbehave with her. Dakshinya means dexterity and skillfulness. Madhuriyaihi, sweetness. Acharyena Damenacha, by your conduct and by your control, self-control, by all these things, you impress her. That impress is the right word. You impress her, and then Shukracharya is a person who will listen to his daughter. So you go and do that, and then you try to get that vidya. You get that vidya. So this man goes, this Kacha goes, and then he tells that teacher, oh my dear sir, I want to be your student. And in those days, the rule was the general duty of a general rule or general dharma, as we say. General dharma was that if an eligible student comes to a teacher, the student has to accept him, the teacher has to accept him. So the teacher accepted him. The teacher Shukracharya accepted him, but he was not sure whether to teach or not. For a long, long time, he did not teach. So he was not sure, but still his duty was to accept his dharma. That was the dharma of that particular day. Then what happens? The other demons also watch this. There is a boy who has come from the rival camp, and he is trying to teach, he is trying to learn this particular vidya. They do suspect, because this boy, he was serving the master in all sincerity, and he was also trying to impress this lady by various means like Gayan, Nrutyan, Vadayanscha, Devayanim, Atoshayat. That is, he used to entertain Devayani just by singing. Gayanam is singing. Nrutyan, dancing. Probably this chap also knew some dancing. Nadayanscha, Vadayanscha. Probably he also knew some musical instruments, and then he was playing those instruments. So by doing all these things, Devayanim Atoshayat. Devayani is the name of the daughter. He was impressing that daughter. And also he was fetching flowers to her, and then going to forest, and then going out, and then fetching flowers. And every day he used to take out the cows of the teacher for grazing, and he used to take them out and then come back. So all this was watched by the demons also. So they thought, "Arey, this fellow has come from that other camp, and he is likely to take away our vidya." Then what they do? They secretly they kill him. They killed him and then cut him into pieces, and then fed some wolves in the forest. They threw all those pieces to the wolves in the forest. And on that evening, this boy didn't return. And then this Devayani, this daughter, Shukracharya's daughter, she was worried. And she told her father, "Oh, my dear father, the boy has not come, and please see where he has gone." So this man, by his divine vision, Divya Drushti, so he saw, and then by using his art, he revived that boy. And that boy came out. So that boy came out and told what all has happened. So these people, they came, they cut me into pieces, and that much I know, they killed me. And after that, now I am revived by your grace. So that happens. Then again, second time when he went out to fetch flowers, again these people, the demons, they killed him. This time they made him into a paste, and then they put that paste into the ocean. In the ocean, they mixed that paste. Then again on that evening, this boy didn't come. Again this lady cried, this Devayani cried. And then again this Shukracharya, he revived that boy. So it happened like that. And third time, what did the demons do? They killed him, not only killed him, but also they burnt his body. So if at all there is some peace, he can be revived. So they burnt his body, and again those ashes, they mixed in wine and gave to the same Shukracharya. The Shukracharya drank, which means in those days, Brahmins were also drinking. Brahmins were drinking in those days. Of course, nowadays also many people do drink. But Shukracharya, he took that wine. So these people, they mixed that ash into that wine, and then they gave to that Shukracharya. He drank that wine. Prayachan brahmanayaiva surayam asurastada. Surayam means in that sura. Sura is that alcoholic drink. So he gave that, these people, they gave that drink to that man. And then what happened? So that naturally that boy is no longer there. And then again this Devayani, this daughter, he cried out, "Oh father, this boy has not come." What can he do? Again he saw, and then he, by using his art, he revived that boy. And he didn't know where that boy was, but he revived that boy by using that art. And that boy very feebly talked out from the belly. That boy, he feebly talked out from the belly, "Oh my dear master, I am here in your stomach." So then how did you go there? He told, by your grace, I have not lost my memory. This is what all has happened. This time they burnt me to ashes, and then they mixed it to you, and then gave it to you. Then again, what was the teacher? He is in a dilemma. How to revive that man? If he revives, he himself dies. So the daughter also is in a dilemma. Daughter says, "Oh, I can't live without him, and I also can't live without you." It is not as though she wants her father to die. So she says, I can't live without that boy, and I can't live without you. You are a great father, etc., etc. We'll just take a break and come back. Let us come back. So again this girl started crying, "Oh my dear father, you have to somehow find a way." Then Shukracharya, you see, he then said, "Okay, if I have to revive that man, I have to die. And that man can come out only if I die. Then what to do?" So he was in a great dilemma. And Shukracharya, he said, "Okay, I will now give you this vidya. I will now tell you this art, and then you have to revive me." So he gave that vidya to that boy, and that boy came out. He tore out that belly, tore the belly and came out. And again he found his teacher, he found his guru dead, and Kacha could have gone away, leaving him like that, but he didn't do that. So Kacha, he again used the same art and revived that particular Shukracharya. Of course, we should not question whether all this is possible, etc., etc. This is only an analysis of human nature. We are not examining the feasibility or possibility of these incidents. So again, that Devayani, he was very happy. "Priyo hi me tata kachobhirupaha." Then again, "Oh my dear father, oh I love this man," etc., etc. Then that boy, that teacher, he again revived that, he gave that vidya to that boy and revived him. Then again, Shukracharya was very, very angry. He was very angry, and he gave out a curse. He gave out a curse that Brahmins from now on, Surapanam prati santyaja manyuhu kavya swayam vakyamidam jagada. He was very, very angry. He was very furious that the drink has spoiled his judgment. Drink has really spoiled his, caused all these things, and no Brahmin should drink. Probably was, if he was not in the habit of drinking, that ash going into him could not have taken place. So he thought that Surapanam is something bad. So he gave a shapam, he gave a curse. From now on, if any Brahmin drinks, then he will go to hell. Apeta dharma brahmaha chaiva sasyat. Yo brahmano adya prahrutiha kaschit. So he set out an order. So from now on, Brahmins should not drink. And if a Brahmin drinks, he is committing a great sin. It is like committing the sin of Brahmahatya. So, and he will get into very condemnable worlds, hellish worlds. we usually talk about heavenly worlds and hellish worlds. So these people, they will go into dark, these people will go into some dark hell. So that is what he said. And this boy also, this Kacha, after staying there for some more time, he wanted to take leave. Anugnatah kacho gantum yesha tridashalayam. So he wanted to go. He wanted to take leave of the teacher and then go. So now we come to this chapter number 77. The earlier chapter I read was 76. Now we come to 77 for those who are following any text. Because nowadays the text is also available on the net. The internet, it has got the critical edition and it also has got other editions also. Because other editions, for example, the edition by Ganguly. In fact, the entire Mahabharata was translated into English about 100 years ago by one gentleman called Ganguly, a Bengali gentleman, Kishori Mohan Ganguly. Then it was again translated into English, and there is a text and translation. Text and translation, one edition is there, and only translation, verse by verse. That also is there on the internet. So this is by one gentleman called M.N. Dutt, D-U-T-T, Dutt. If you type Mahabharata, M.N. Dutt, D-U-T-T, you will get the entire thing. So maybe if you are following any text, you will see this story. You will see the same chapters. Maybe chapter numbers may differ here and there, maybe just because of splitting of chapters. So here, chapter number 77. So what happens when this boy wants to take leave and go? All the while, this boy was trying to impress the daughter, and then he was singing, dancing, and doing all those things. Of course, he was virtuous. He didn't cross a limit. But then this girl had loved him. This girl had loved him, and so far she also didn't tell her. She didn't tell him, and he, of course, he didn't tell him. He did not have any such idea. He was only trying to impress her. That's all. And this. The next chapter, what happens is, or first of all, we analyze these two chapters, first of all, these chapters, that is 76 and 77, if we analyze, how to analyze, and if we see these two chapters. So this Brihaspati, the teacher of the gods, he knew that the Shukracharya had this art of reviving the dead. Okay, fine. But then he also knew the weakness of the Shukracharya, that he is a very, very fond parent. And again, one factor which we see is, Shukracharya admitted the student, but he did not willingly give this Vidya to him. We do not know whether he really wanted to give that Vidya to him or not, because if he gives that Vidya, if he imparts that art, if he imparts that knowledge to that other man, that will be somewhat like a breach of trust. He can't give this to the enemy. It is like transfer of technology. It's like nowadays we talk about transfer of technology. So it is somewhat like that. And if somebody transfers the technology, he is doing something which is anti-national activity. So like that, and he is not loyal to the country. So here also, Shukracharya did not violate dharma. He did not violate dharma consciously, but when it was inevitable, in order to save his own life, he had to tell that boy. And again, we also see the master-disciple relationship here. In these two chapters, what we see is this master-disciple relationship. It is the duty of the master to take the student, and it is also the duty of the disciple to serve his master and please the master. Of course, nowadays, if we talk like this, it will be found, people will say it is all funny. And there are also some critics who say that the gurus wielded too much of authority on the students. Maybe to some extent the students also willingly submitted, but the fact was, why is a teacher compulsory in Vedic education? It may not be compulsory in all other branches. For example, if somebody is learning mathematics or physics or something like that, so much of dedication, the need for a teacher may not be there. You can read a book and then you can learn it. But in those days, books were not available. All Shastras were known by heart, so the teacher had to tell. So anyway, for learning math or physics or any other science, the teacher may not be needed. But then, for this Vedanta, for knowing this what is called self, for having this knowledge of self, for that, a person has to undergo some internal change. A person should evolve from within. That is, he has to get rid of his anger, various other negative qualities like ambition, greed, anger, lust, all these things, desires, all these things he has to leave. And he should also control his senses, what is called dhamma, shama and dhamma, so that internal purity has to be achieved by the student. And who has to watch him? It is the teacher who has to watch him. So this internal purity, suppose I read some books and then I feel I am a great Brahmagyani, I have realized Brahman, but then I am so arrogant. So that arrogance, if I have that notion that I am a learned man, then I am no longer a Brahmagyani. If I have that ego, I am not a Brahmagyani. So who has to watch that? So that is the need. There is a need for a teacher who has to watch that student, whether he is growing internally or not, whether that internal change, inward change or inner growth is taking place in him or not. If that inner growth is not taking place, he may be a learned man, but he is a useless fellow. He may be a learned man, but if he is arrogant, if his knowledge is giving him or aggrandizing his ego, then he is not a jnani. So there is a need for a teacher in the case of Brahmagyan. So that is what we have to see. Because nowadays people will say, oh, where is the need for a teacher, etc. You have got so many books, etc. now. Even now, for Brahmagyana or for self-realization, we need some gurus. Because it is the guru who points out where we are. Because there are so many steps, like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Atma Sanyama Yoga, etc., etc. It is the guru who can watch a student and know the maturity level of the student, and he will tell the student where he is. So that guru-shishya relationship is something which we see here. Then again, we see that this boy, Kacha, he did not behave in an honorable way with that lady. That is my feeling at least, that he didn't give an honorable treatment to that Devayani. Because finally he is going to say, no, you are my sister, I came out of the belly of your father, you are like my sister, etc., etc. He was, of course, teaching dharma, but he could have left the decision to the father. But he didn't do that. He said, no, it is not dharma, etc., etc. And we also see this girl Devayani. This girl Devayani is a pampered child. She is, of course, innocent. She is innocent, but very adamant, and also she is prone to anger. She is prone to anger and also giving some hurting words. Of course, that also we will see in the next chapter. That is in 77, what happens is, chapter 77, this Devayani tells, when this boy Kacha wants to take leave, then this Devayani tells, oh, I love you, how can you go? I have been seeing you, and sa samavrta vidyo mam bhaktam bhajitum arhasi. I am your bhakta. Bhakta is Pumlinga, bhakta is Strilinga. That is, I am your devotee. She says, I am your devotee. And you have to do my panigrahanam, gruhana panim vidhivat. You have to marry me. So this word panigrahanam probably was there even in Mahabharata times. It is there in Ramayana also. So then this boy Kacha says, you are a very revered person for me. Like I revered your father, I revere you, I respect you. And now that I have come out from the stomach of your father, I am like your brother, and you can't press me like that. But then this lady says, you recall how many times I revived you, and actually you owe your life to me. So, but then this boy says, no, it is not like that. I have to, you cannot press me to do something which is adharma. Adharma means unrighteous. So then, this girl gets very angry. This girl gets angry and says, no, this vidya, this art which you have learned from my father, it will not work for you. So then again, that boy also comes out and he also gives out a curse. Okay, you are actually my Guru Putri, that is the daughter of my Guru, and that is the reason why I cannot marry you. And now that you are pressing me and you are you have given me a curse, I am also giving you a curse. No Brahmin will marry you. So that is what he also gave a shapam. He gave a shapam means a particular curse. Then okay, that boy again said, fine, okay, I will go back. So he took leave and went back. Of course, here that father did not interfere. Father Shukracharya, he just watched. He neither admonished his daughter nor admonished the boy. And probably he also felt that this boy was right. Probably he also felt that this boy was right, because it is good for him, it is good for Shukracharya if the boy goes away. Otherwise, if the boy marries this girl, and then if he stays with this Shukracharya, the demons will start suspecting him. Oh, this man is loyal, this man is not loyal to us, he is our guru and he is actually helping the enemy. So it is good that Shukracharya did not interfere, he allowed that boy to go away. So now we come to the next chapter, that is 78. 78, something more happens. What? So this Devayani is reconciled to the fact that this boy Kacha went away. And now it so happens that this king, demon king, his name is Rushaparva. We may not remember, you may forget his name, we don't mind, I don't mind. So the demon king, so he had a daughter. The daughter's name, we have to remember, this is an important name here in this early portion of Mahabharata. Her name is Sharmishta. So that Sharmishta and Devayani, naturally they were good friends. This Shukracharya is the guru for the demons, and he is the demon king. So the demon king's daughter, naturally he is on friendly terms with this other lady, that is Devayani. Devayani, who earlier loved this boy Kacha and then who was rejected by Kacha. So anyway, these two people, they were friends. So once it so happened that all these two girls, and along with many other girls, they went and then they were taking bath in some pool. Like nowadays we go to a swimming pool and swim. So like that they went into a lake, water lake, and then they were swimming. At that time there was a big wind. And these clothes, they got mixed up. The clothes got mixed up, and when they came out in a hurry, this king's daughter picked up the clothes of this Devayani. The king's daughter picked up the clothes of this Devayani, who is the daughter of Shukracharya. The king's daughter picked up the clothes of the priest's daughter, or guru's daughter, let us say. So that is what has happened. Then this Devayani, this priest's daughter, Shukracharya's daughter, she became very angry. How is it that how dare you take my clothes, you put on my clothes? Your father is my father's disciple, and you are my disciple. How can a disciple take the clothes of a master? So this lady, you see the arrogance of that lady, arrogance of, we can say that pride of birth, not only pride but to the extent of arrogance also. Not only pride, if it is mere pride, if it is within you. Arrogance means it goes beyond you. So that is what has happened. So kasmad grunhasi me vastram shishya bhutva mamasuri. Oh Sharmishta, how can you wear my clothes? Your father is a student of my father. So that is what happens. So then this Sharmishta also gets angry. She also gets angry. She says, oh, don't think like that. Your father obeys my father. My father is the king, and your father obeys my father. Sitting down, my father sits on the top and your father sits below. So we'll follow this story tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.